Well, aloha kakahiake, everyone. Today is August 6th, 2021, and it is 8:55 a.m. Hawaii time right now. And if it's not 8:55 a.m. Hawaii time for you, you're listening to the pre-recorded version. So scroll up a few minutes unless you want to join us for the pregame show where we kind of warm everything up. We got our microphones going, and right away there's Joan. Joan, aloha from Colorado Springs, thrilled to be a brand new member of the Islander Ohana. Joan, I'm so stoked. I saw your registration came in right away. I can't wait to kind of get the thing started. We're going to be starting in the fall in just a few weeks. I am here, and also Ray came. Ray from Afghanistan's got a time difference over there, so Ray kicked in early about 8:12 a.m. Hawaii time. Ray, hope you're still there. If you are there, whether you're there or not, aloha from Afghanistan. Ray's always there, and Jim, you're going to have to kick up the game, dude, because people are coming on before you. You've always been the first guy. You need to be. You need to be the first guy now. Anyway, Jim, welcome. So everybody, hey, I've got Dylan from the Big Island. We got Scott Startzman from Oahu, who's actually on the Big Island today, and we have Heidi Dollinger, who's from Maui. Let's warm up our microphones. Heidi, give me the coffee update. Give me the Maui update. How are things over there?
Well, Maui's great. Life is always better with good coffee. I was able to go to my favorite coffee shop this morning, which is Badass. I think a lot of you know.
Badass Coffee Company, yes.
And they're serving one of my favorites, the red katuai, and it's just really rich. Highly recommend it. If you can't get here, I think you can order it. I sound like I'm selling coffee. I'm not. I just really love it.
We need to get the Badass folks to sponsor some coffee for us, man. Because I'm doing my Costco. I'm doing the Costco Starbucks bag, which is shameful, but it is what it is. It should be Kona, but the Kona stuff's too damn expensive. Scott, tell us where you're at and what's the shirt you're wearing and all that kind of good stuff. What's going on, Scotty?
Yeah, I'm over here on the Big Island. I'm staying at the Manalani Resort. It's a gated little condo complex called Kulalani. I love it. I stayed over here last time. I'm actually over here for a memorial service for my uncle who passed away in October. So we're now doing the family service thing. My parents were actually supposed to fly in for this, but because my dad's health isn't that great and COVID picked up and whatnot, they actually canceled the trip. So I got this 2-story place all to myself and I had no parents. So.
Well, I'm sorry about your uncle. May his memory be eternal. But good that you're there, and I hope you're enjoying the big giant place that you're. That place looks like huge, man. I mean, maybe it's the camera, but it looks huge.
I think it's like 1,500 square feet or something. I don't need all this space. It's ridiculous. But it is Aloha Friday, and I went casual, so I got my my animal T-shirt. So I'm ready to attack the day and crush it today.
Isn't that Grover from Sesame Street? I think that's Grover.
It's the drummer Animal from.
The drummer. Yeah, he was awesome. He was. Hey, we got a few more people who popped in. Charles, welcome, Charles. Good to see you. Aloha, Charles. And Christopher Longley is with us. Aloha, Christopher. And Judy is back. Aloha, Judy. Judy is an alumni of the Islander Ohana, and we're really glad that she's with us. Actually, I got a really quick little picture over here. So Dylan, why don't you go ahead and give us the quick update? I got a fun picture I want to show everybody ahead of time. Go ahead, Dylan.
Well, just a beautiful day over here. We had a really weird week of it, like raining every single day. It was raining in Kailua Kona, and finally kind of started to clear up yesterday, and it's a beautiful day today. So looking forward to getting outside. I got 2 properties we got to get pictures of, so going to do that after the show since we got some good weather. Oh, you're muted, Peter.
And speaking of pictures, Scott sent me this text message, which was really cool. So Scott is on the Big Island and visited Dylan, and first time the guys were in person there. Anybody want Scott, Dylan? Guys want to share about that?
Well, yeah, sometimes we forget. Now that we started this whole thing, it was a COVID brainchild, right? Where there was zero travel, and so we've been hanging out online at least once or twice or 2 or 3 times a month for the last year or so. And
right?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny that it's the first time we actually met in person.
Yeah, I usually, when I come out of the airport at Kona, I usually go left, and Kailua Kona, or Kona town is to the right. And I had a couple of hours to kill, and we hadn't ever met up. We've been trying to get together, but we're kind of separated by about an hour. And it was right around lunchtime. And my first place I ever went to eat when I landed on the Big Island, or when I moved here in 1999, was Honoka'au Harbor. So I took that right and I went down there, got a fish sandwich and a schooner right at noon. perfect timing. And then I was like, so I hit up Dylan. He happened to be around, so we were able to catch up finally.
That's so cool. I'm glad you guys did that. That's so cool. We need to kind of do a meeting in Maui or something like that. All four of us need to meet up in Maui. Some cool beach resort there and meet up with Heidi. Because again, we've only just met Dylan, but before you and Scott met, you and I were the only folks that kind of. Well, I knew Dylan face to face through many things, and I knew Scott face to face through many things. But it's kind of cool. Excellent. Hey, it's just about it is that time. Why don't we do? Let me back up here for a quick minute. Let's say hello to a few other folks who have joined us. Let's see here. Ray, timing is off here. Waiting a couple hours. Hey, Ray, welcome back, buddy. Glad. Thank you, Ray, for your continued service, serving our nation. And you are in Afghanistan. Hope things are safe over there. We hear the news that Afghanistan is being vacated or leaving or whatever. So hope all is well, everybody. We're all looking out for you. Robert H, welcome, Robert. Glad to see you. And Val is with us. Aloha from Mililani. Aloha, Val. Val, I've got your question ready for you, and Dylan's been prepped on it, so we're all set. Val sent us a slide earlier about a question on the big on. Jim, hold on to that question, Jim. The current Hawaiian market, how does loan pre-approval matter? Still valid for a month or 6? Great question. And Auntie Joyce is with us. Happy Aloha Friday, Auntie Joyce. It's kind of fun. It's like a bunch of people. We all get together right on Friday night. It's kind of neat. I want to point this out real quick from Twilla. Can someone please help me find a friend in Hawaii? He's from East Liverpool, Ohio. He's 56 or 7. His name is Donald C. Rockhold. Well, Twilla, there you go. There's your message. Anybody who sees this can connect with you on Facebook. If they find the person that you're looking for, I wish you luck in your pursuits. All right, let's do a quick news roundup. Let's go here. Here we go. All right. Well, we are hitting the record books in Hawaii. We've got, if you look at that graph there in the upper right-hand corner, the spike there is really cranking up. We've got a record 655 COVID cases. That's never been that high in Hawaii. So that's kind of got a lot of people, how shall I say, there's a lot of hand wringing, and justifiably so, per se. The hospitalizations are also spiking. There is a concern. I'm glad to see, if you look over here at the bottom right-hand graph has fatalities. Those have not yet followed. So that's good, but those are trailing indicators as well. So we'll see what happens, and I hope we get through this period without too many fatalities. But what is possibly happening is the vax exemption may be going bye-bye. So there is some talk about they may, right now, if you're vaccinated, if you're from the U.S. mainland and you're vaccinated, you can skip quarantine. There are some discussions about taking away that vaccine exemption. So we'll see. It's still clean right now, but this may be changing. So there are signs on the horizon that stuff is kind of changing. We'll see. But just to we've always tried to give you folks the heads up, right? If you kind of followed us every week, you kind of see a lot of things that we talk about week after week. It kind of starts to come through. We'll see if this one is going to be one of them. Maui is clamping down on vacation rentals. So there's been and I want to hear what Heidi's going to say about this, but basically the mayor of Maui has made an agreement with Airbnbs and things of that nature, where basically if your property's tax map key, that's like the ID, the serial number, if you will, of your property, if it's not registered with a legal vacation rental, the Airbnbs and VRBOs of the world will not list your property. I think my personal opinion, I think it's a good move. We've got to follow the law. Oahu is clamping down on Turos. Apparently what's going on, the Turo thing is really hilarious. There's a bunch of people that have been, the story was that there was one individual who had like a dozen Jeeps, and he was parking a dozen Jeeps on his residential street for Turo. That's illegal. You can't do that. You can have a Turo, but you have to use your own property, your own driveway. You can't store the cars that you own and rent out on Turo on the residential. So the bottom line is there's a lot of clamping down going on. That's kind of what's happening. The industry overall, people are clamping down. The tourism rush has got many people alarmed. We were used to things being quiet and calm, and now there's where we feel like we're being overloaded with tourists. And there is a pushback, and that you're seeing the pushback, the vacation rentals, the Turos, and things of that nature. So that's the quick news. We had a couple of things pop in real fast. So one question that came in from Tom Kerr popped this in, and Tom, I put your little line up there. Let me make everybody go. There we go. So Tom had sent this question earlier, thanks via the online forum. Thanks, Tom. And he wants to know about the brush fires on the Big Island. So Dylan, there's been some stories on brush fires, some of the biggest ones, if I'm not mistaken. What can you tell us about what's going on the Big Island with those brush fires, Dylan?
Well, right now, not that much. I think this pretty much died down, but I mean, it was huge. It was 40,000 acres that burned up in the central part of the island. So there was definitely some concern. They evacuated Waikoloa Village for a short period of time and then canceled it. So it wasn't even 24 hours and the residents could come back. But I actually drove by the fires on Saturday last weekend because my brother's boy had a graduation party. So we were going to Waimea. So I live on the kind of southeast side, and we had to drive across towards Waimea, and we could see it in the distance, and there was really heavy smoke. So it's pretty much just grasslands. There were a couple of homes that were burned, but luckily the larger population centers weren't affected. And it's not uncommon. I mean, once a year or so we get those. There's really dry areas with grasslands up in the central part of the island, and lightning will start them. Somebody throwing a cigarette out the window will start them. But there's a lot of fire breaks that are already, over the years that have been built in, and they deal with them pretty well. So luckily, I think the worst of it was spared. But it's definitely a lot of smoke last week. I mean, even where I live, depending on which way the wind was blowing, you could smell smoke, and I'm like, an hour drive away from where the fires were.
So are you leeward of where the fires were? Not, in other words, the trade winds would the trains would carry smoke past you folks, or how do you stand in relation to wind direction?
Yeah, we're on the southwest of it. So if the winds were blowing southwesterly, then we could smell it. Because it was funny, my brother lives in Waimea, which is just kind of north of where the fires were, and you could actually see them from his house. He could look out into the distance and see them out in the plains, but no smoke because the wind's blowing the other way in the cross direction towards us.
The trades are blowing from out of the northeast to the southwest, and so he's north and he doesn't see it. Yeah, interesting. Very cool. Let's see. We got a couple of comments over here real fast. Let me see. We got a couple of things. So Jim and Kath, aloha from Mortgage Underwriting Land in Oregon. Well, Jim and Kath going to bring that mortgage underwriting skill to Hawaii one day, hopefully. And Jen Tomko. Jen, welcome. Aloha from Michigan. Great to see you, Jen. And Megan, aloha Maui friends. Aloha from Maui friends. Happy to see you all. Megan is an alumni of the Islander Ohana. We're doing a party at Megan's house. That's what we're going to do. We're going to do like a get together, a meetup. We're going to do a Maui Islander Ohana meetup. And we're going to be hanging out at Megan's backyard, Megan. So we're coming. I don't know when, but we're coming one of these days. Okay, so let's get a quick sort of update on news, kind of anything new to report on. Heidi, you saw that that story I kind of clipped on about the short-term vacation rentals. What else do you want to report on news-wise from Maui?
I was just going to report real estate-wise. There was a recent sale of 45 million of beachfront homes sold in South Maui this past week. So that was kind of in real estate news.
Hopefully you sold that one. Heidi, tell me you sold the $45 million property, please.
Unfortunately, it wasn't me. I've sold some other ones, but yeah, that was one of our largest sales. I mean, as far as the vacation rentals, Maui's been cracking down on illegal vacation rentals for some time. I mean, the fine is $10,000 a day. So, I mean, nobody in their right mind would really do that, I think. But there are plenty of places to have legal vacation rentals, and that really hasn't changed. So it's just the illegal vacation rentals that they're cracking down on. And I mean, I think that's good. It's a fair playing field for everybody. It also makes people's properties more valuable if they have a legal vacation rental. So.
Yeah, I think Oahu let the illegal vacation rentals run rampant. It's a huge problem, and it becomes this sort of monster that you can't control. Megan agrees. Megan, all right, yes, we are doing it. We are going to be absolutely planning out a meetup in Maui for sure. And Jeremy's got a little bit of a shout out here. He says, "Yeah, aloha, back from 6 weeks in Maui. I need to find a place in Haiku." Well, Jeremy, talk to Heidi and get a place in Heidi. Aren't you near Haiku? Isn't that where you or no?
I live in West Maui, which is on the West Coast. So
and haiku is where in relation to west? Where's haiku? I'm completely ignorant of where haiku is.
haiku would be up north.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Well, Jeremy, you know who to connect with. Jim says, I've been watching a live Maui beach cam for about 10 days. Hopefully not 10 days straight, Jim. Especially Ka'anapali Beach, there are hardly overrun with tourists. I think that's what's interesting, Jim, is that I think there's statistically less tourism now than there was pre-COVID. It kind of varies, but I think it's the perception that we all have. We had this empty place all to ourselves, and now there's like more people than empty, and so it's too crowded, and we can't take it. So anyway, Scott, what's news? What's news? Non-real estate news. What's news on Oahu that you want to report on?
Yeah, there's two things. Actually, Governor Ige just mentioned that he's not going to extend the eviction moratorium, which is actually, I think it's up today now. But the process for that is I guess if homeowners start to give out eviction notices, then you have to go through this kind of mediation component. So this is going to drag out for a while, and it's kind of interesting to see. And with the CDC having more or less extended the eviction moratorium based on hot spots, that could change here at any moment's notice. So it'd be interesting to kind of see where things go from there. But I already know we're not going to have just some flood of people putting their homes on the market and stuff. So don't expect that. But the other interesting one that I had, man, I mean, coming over here for example, this place, I tried to, about 20, 30 days ago, I tried to set up reservations at Canoe House, at Browns Beach House, wherever I could. Roy's had they were 30 days out on a reservation. I couldn't get any. And I went out on to dinner the other night on Oahu, and I was talking to the guy. I was sitting at the bar talking to the guy, and he said they had shut down during COVID. And he said he enjoyed it because he was getting paid $6,000 a month, $72,000 a year to stay at home with the kids. And I was like, oh man, like, okay, why go back to work? And when I was talking with my family at the seafood bar, we've got guys working, 70, 80 hours a week right now because we can't get the employees to come in. So the restaurant situation and trying to go out to dinner and that service-side industry is just totally screwed up right now.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it, is that it not only are things like more crowded than they were before they were empty, but no one's going back to the service jobs, and so there's long lines for everything, which is a bummer. Got a few other comments over here. KT Morris said, love all of you, never missed one. Awesome, KT. However, can't watch live because of work, but watching live now. Awesome, KT. It's so good to have you by there. Visiting Kona during maintenance in the lovely house Dylan got us. All right. Well, okay. This is a Dylan Ohana member. Can't wait to actually live in it soon. So Dylan, give a shout out to KT over there.
Yeah, super stoked for KT and her family. They had they are of the class of people that had the faith to buy during COVID, and man, what a smart move that was, because the house that they got has already appreciated significantly, and it's so much harder today than it was a few months ago to get into a house. So awesome for them, and we'll see them here in the next few days, I'm sure.
That's like totally. Those are like my favorite stories. I just love that overall. And Auntie Joyce kind of chimes in over here. The reason why we have a 3-car restriction on our street is because a neighbor used his home to store lots of cars, vans for his business rentals. Yes, the rules have changed to understand Turo restrictions. It gets out of hand. Yeah, it's called economics, Auntie Joyce. And if there's an economic reason and if there's an economic incentive, that's what things are going to happen. And so that's why kind of have to temper that. Thankfully, hopefully things are going to get all kind of squared away. Okay, I think that I got everyone's comments over here. Val, I've got your question, so I'll be kind of bringing that up. And let's before we go. Okay, so we're going to talk about next up is the real estate market update. So let's give a quick question to Jim David, who asked Aloha, a question: in the current Hawaii market, how much does loan pre-approval matter? Still valid for a month or 6? Well, I can tell you it matters a hell of a lot, but I think the question is, how long is it valid for? Dylan, you want to tell us how long typically are loan approvals sort of good for, or pre-approvals?
Yeah, normally they're good for 30 days, but they can easily be updated, right? A lender will just need maybe an updated bank statement or check that to make sure that you haven't done anything crazy with your finances and they can issue you an updated one. But on the question of how much does it matter, don't even show up unless you got one, because you got no shot. So it absolutely matters.
Thank you, Dylan, for expanding on that. Scott, you want to add to that? Yeah. So in other words, don't even think about placing an offer unless you're pre-approved, certainly in today's market. Scott, anything you want to add to that one?
Yeah, I mean, the pre-approval letter is a necessity, but I don't, for me at this point, you have to have some kind of significant down payment or at least some kind of appraisal clause. I'm not even, pre-approvals are the bare minimum, but I'm not even getting accepted contracts with people with just a pre-approval. You got to have some cash funds to make up for an appraisal shortage. You got to put some language in there.
Yeah. Hey, so thanks. So Scott kind of veered us a little bit more to like the kind of things that are needed in today's market. Heidi, you want to add to that at all? Like for today's offers, you got to have pre-approval. Scott's kind of saying you got to have pre-approval. You may have to waive some part of the appraisal. What else have you seen, Heidi, that's got to be happening to even get in the game these days to make an offer on a house that has a prayer of getting accepted?
Yeah, pre-approval, absolutely. By a Hawaii lender, that tends to hold more weight. Also, proof of funds is really important. I mean, the listing agent and the seller are going to be looking at the entire package of your offer. And in order to accept something, I mean, they want just really great proof that you're going to be able to close. So it's really great to just get all that up front and get it in, make your offer more competitive so they're not left wondering whether or not you're going to be able to close.
Yeah. Thanks for that. That's very important. Go ahead, then.
Yeah, one kind of, this is a detail, but strategy thing, but one discussion I'm having with buyers that are doing financing is to consider putting into your offer, the maximum that you can put down versus what you want to put down. Because when you're presenting the offer, you want to show the most amount of cash as possible to make your offer the strongest. Once you get into under contract, if you work it out with your lender and you can continue to close the loan with a lower amount down, we can make those adjustments, but you have to be able to commit to doing that larger down payment if necessary. But, a lot of people with the stock market doing well and interest rates low, they don't want to put money down. They'd rather borrow money from the bank at 3%. But that may be something in the short term that is detrimental to your offer having the chance of getting accepted. So maybe put that money in, and then 6 months from now, you can refinance or do something else. Or during the loan process, if you can reduce your down payment and still close the loan, we can make those adjustments along the way. But you really want to consider showing the most amount of cash possible in the offer process, and then putting yourself in the best position possible to get it accepted.
That sounds like a secret of smart offer submittals, Dylan. I don't know if we should have made that public to the entire world right now, that hot tip, but good on you that you're willing to share it. I think Jim and Kath is kind of chiming in here regarding pre-approval letters. In my humble opinion, they're only as good as the lending officer that issues it and how much homework on the borrower they have done. What do you guys think about that comment?
Like Heidi said, that's why a local lender is so important, because when I'm a listing agent and I have 10 offers and 3 of them are from lenders that I know, like, and trust and have done business with many times, those are going to have more credibility than Quicken Loans or Rocket Mortgage or some person that, I know you can just qualify online and even review your documents, right? So
yeah, that's an excellent point. It's only as good as the lending officer that issues it. Hence, local lending officers are held in much higher regard than other mainland, etc., .coms, etc. So that's a really good point. We're still talking about we're doing our real estate update over here. So Scott, why don't you give us a quick update? What's going on I saw the news, Scott, that we finally we're not quite where Maui is, but we finally went over the $1 million median mark for single family homes. Scott, what's going on? What do you want to report on Oahu real estate wise that's newsworthy?
I mean, 2 months ago, I said, but prior to the end of the summer, we're going to hit $1 million on the median home price. So here we are.
There you go.
Not surprising. I mean, I actually watched a local economist yesterday. There was some interesting stuff. So we're up 21% in price year to date for single family home. We're actually up 27% for the last month. But it's too small of a data set. But we're still, I mean, I looked at the number of active homes, 443. We still just have no inventory, and there's almost 800 homes in escrow. So it's a tight market. Essentially, what you're looking at is between 10 and 30 people competing for a home. And that's what you're up against on the single family home side. And it hasn't changed. It hasn't slowed down at all yet. And there's not that much inventory. We're going to come out of the summer months. Now the kids are back in school. There's going to be less movement on the sales side. So we actually may see less listings coming on the market. On the condo side, we're up 6% year to date, but 9% last month in price. But the interesting thing is I mentioned it last month, we had 1,500 active condos on the market for sale. We're now down to 933. So we've just lost a ton of inventory. And I've been saying that inventory is starting to shrink and dive like the single family home side. So prices are going to start moving in that double digit range moving forward here for condos. So I don't see a slowdown. And my other point I've been trying to make to people who are thinking about that condo side is they're not that there's hesitation, but what happens when the international buyer is not here? And 25% of Oahu's sales this year have been to mainland buyers, but the international pool has been there hasn't been any. What happens when everybody has been rethinking their lives at home during COVID and things opened up and we got this big push? What happens when the international market doesn't require the quarantine when they go back, and now we get the international buyer and they're going to be significantly in the condo market area? What's going to happen to Kaka'ako, Waikiki, that range in there, Ala Moana? I think we're going to get a strong push from the international buyer at that time too.
That's a nice long way of saying prices are going up. Prices are going up. That's what's kind of going on over there. And those condo prices, Jim Stevenson, buddy, you've been looking at those Kaka'ako condos. You better hurry. You better get on with Scott and get that bad boy happening. I've got a good friend of mine, long-term friend, Forrest Shoemaker. Forrest and I go back to 30 years, right? Forrest Easy. He said, Peter, you should have Lance Owens from Big Island on next time, Big Island President Realtors Association. Dylan, bring Lance on the show. Bring him on as a guest.
Lance is a good dude. I know him well.
Lance is a good dude. Dylan, why don't you give us an update on kind of what's going on give us the Big Island update that's newsworthy about real estate. Besides, again, it's bananas. We know it's bananas. There's no inventory. Prices are crazy. Give us something. Give us something else. Give us a story. Give us something good.
It's pretty much status quo over here. The last couple of months, my market reports have been a broken record. Inventory super low. We're starting to see number of sales fall like month after month. They're compared to last year, obviously way up, but that's mostly due to just there's not as much inventory on the market, so you can't sell as much stuff. The interesting thing this month is condos cracked island-wide, cracked 100% final list to sell price. So people are getting almost 100% on all homes are like 99%, land's like 96%. So it's all like right at the limit pretty much. But condos are on average selling higher than what they're listed for. And I always tell people that the top line number, right, is a year ago there was 2,800 listings for property on the Big Island and 1,000 in escrow. Today there's 1,395 active listings and there's 1,396. There's one more in escrow than there is active listings. So we're like less than 50% what there normally is, and there's just as many properties under contract as there are available. It's crazy. I looked in my market today in Kona today. There's 18 homes under $1 million in the market. There's usually 50, 60. So
it's really, I mean, there was that one line that our friend, the economist, Scott, that you mentioned. I'm assuming that you're talking about Paul Brubaker. Paul's a really good friend of mine. I've known him for decades. And, he said it sums it up really, really simple. There's more people who want to buy and no one wants to sell. And that's what it comes down to. Nobody wants to sell. And
the crazy thing is, right, is like you keep thinking like something's got to happen here. Something's got to give. I had this experience last week where this, $1.5 million home comes on the market, clearly in a neighborhood that has very easy to comp, right? Not a super unique property in a nice gated neighborhood, but clearly $200,000 over what it probably appraised for. And so I have buyers that offer them 1.4, 100,000 over what it probably appraised for, and commit to paying 100,000 more than the appraisal if the appraisal comes in low, and the sellers rejected it. Then 3 days later, it went into escrow. I'm assuming for full price. somebody's willing to pay 200K over full price. So yeah, I mean, you try and even I'm never comfortable having people overpay for something, but if they're willing to, and they were smart, savvy buyers, this was an investment, they knew what they were doing, and still, it wasn't enough to commit to pay $100,000 over the very probable appraised value. So,
I mean, look, I mean, as a homeowner, we're at a stage where our house is pretty soon, well, already is too big, right? So we don't need the kind of house that we've got. And, we're kind of thinking about, okay, let's kind of, downsize, move out of the house and get into a condo. I'm afraid to do that. I'm afraid because it's like, I'm going to sell the darn house and we're not going to be able to find the darn condo. And so the hell with it. I'm just going to hang on to this darn thing. And oh, by the way, it's appreciating. And like Scott said, 20%. So why on earth it's like almost like a stock market kind of a thing. Why on earth would I want to consider selling something if I know that next year, at the current rate, next year, there could be a 20% price appreciation? Why on earth would I want to sell that? So it's this really crazy cycle. I mean, it's really, really going to be crazy. It's going to do what economics does. The price is going to continue to go up until some people say, okay, I'm going to sell now, right? I'll sell my house for 10 million. Got it. So Kinaya, we're ready to buy your house. Hey, girl, love you. I'm not taking anything under 10 million. So just to let you all know. So the offers start at 10 million. Just kidding.
That's called a make me move offer.
That's a make me move offer, man. Buy me 10 million. Okay, 10 million, I'll sell. Anyway, and just to be joking, my house isn't worth anywhere near 10 million. Then again, it may be. Who knows? Heidi, give us the update. What's happening on Maui, newsworthy of the real estate market besides the $45 million property that I wish you sold?
Well, I mean, same story over on Maui. Inventory is low. It's a totally different market. And the idea of what a reasonable price is for a property has just changed so much in the last 6 months. I mean, what I would have thought even 3 months ago is different than what's now. And it's just really important to keep a pulse on the market. And I think the strategy for buying is different. I mean, you have to kind of do your due diligence up front before the listings even come on the market, because once the listings come on the market, there's not time to go over there a couple times and think about it and go home and then do inspections and ask for this and that. I mean, you really have to kind of start, like, I'm working with buyers before we even make offers, before properties are on the market. So you can be ready to jump in there when the time is right. And, everybody's worried about, oh, all the listings are going to get sold. There's going to be no more inventory. Well, I have sellers that are moving, people have life changes, are retiring. I mean, there's all different reasons people sell that has nothing to do with the market. So in a good market or bad market, I mean, you're still going to have things coming on the market. It's about understanding what the current market is and adjusting your approach to fit that and get what you want.
Yeah, thank you, Heidi. It's really I think you really summed it up. We're really kind of going into uncharted territory, right? I mean, none of us have ever seen anything like this. This makes there was a Japanese bubble in the late 80s. Scott, I think you were probably around during that. There was a Japanese bubble where the foreign buyers, the Japanese buyers were buying up real estate like crazy. And it was just kind of going up and up and up and up. And then it kind of bubbled out. But I think that pales in comparison to the kind of increases that we're seeing now. Okay, we got a question that came in, a real estate question that came in from Val. Let me bring this on the screen. Let's see here. Technical difficulties, operator incompetence. Okay, here we go. So Dylan, this one is for you, and this Val came in. So Val, thank you. I know you're here with us live, and appreciate you being here, Val. So Val, who's from Mililani, says, "Hey, I understand that there are a very limited number of short-term vacation rentals for sale on the Big Island, especially homes with 4 or more bedrooms. What do you think about the new Ainamalu resort homes in Waikoloa becoming more available in future phases? Phase 1 seemed to be gone before most of the public knew about them being available for sale, and even with the high price point, Phase 2 already has a waiting list. Are these properties only attainable through real estate agents with connections? And are multiple homes in a development like this likely to be purchased in mass and then rented out by large mainland investment companies like Blackstone? Val, you win the award for the most detailed and sort of Akamai kind of question I think we've ever gotten. So God bless you on that. That must be a testament to the water in Mililani or something. Anyway, Dylan, what do you want to? How do you respond to Val's question here? Make sure you're muted.
Yes, a couple of things. The first one is the phase one was not sold like primarily to people off market. What happens with development properties is that the developer may have 30 homes for sale, but they're only going to put two or three on the market at a time. And then when you go to the development to look at those 2 or 3, they're going to show you all the rest that are available because they don't want to make it look like there's a ton of inventory, right? So when you see homes in a development sell before they're printed, it's because they're all available, but they're only going to market a limited number of them. And that's just a marketing strategy that developers use. But in phase one of Ainamalo, there were many homes that sat on the market for 200 days. It was a different market back in 2018, 2019. And the crazy thing is a lot of those were selling for like under $1 million, 800, 900,000, and they're all worth like $2 million today in like 3 or 4 years. So that's kind of the phase one piece of it. Those were a normal developer sale. That's going to happen anytime you have brand new builds like that. For the additional phases, right now there is a waiting list, but there's no timeline on construction. They don't have a commitment right now to build. There's still they may need some investors to fund the rest of the development, and the current economy is compelling that the real estate market's great, but building materials are extremely expensive, shortage in labor, all kinds of issues. So all those things go into building additional phases, but they do have the land ready to go. There's actually, I think, 3 phases that could be built: a condo component and then additional single family home components. So I wouldn't hold your breath on that. It may be a little while before anything happens there, if at all. In general, in Hawaii, it's super hard to build new stuff. Right now, I didn't talk about it during the news update, but the other big kind of political news on the island is they're trying to pass some modifications and additions to the building code. And there's been a lot of pushback because a lot of it will just make it more difficult and more expensive to build stuff. And they want to ban stuff like tiny homes and pre-printed homes, some of the new technology that could make housing more affordable. So that's a constant debate. Is sometimes, we wring our hands and get mad about how expensive homes and property are, and then we elect people that just continue to exacerbate that. So it's a crazy cycle.
That is one of the most interesting things, and that we're not going to go down that rabbit hole, but that is one of the most interesting topics that comes up again and again and again, right? Which is, on one hand, we local residents, we want prices of real estate, we want, quote, affordable housing, but on the other hand, we ignore basic economics, and we don't want additional inventory to come onto the market, which is the only thing that's going to drive prices down. But it is what it is, and we're in what we're in. We're going to move on to some questions. Does anybody want to comment on anything that Dylan said, or add anything to it? If not, let's move on. Let's go to so we're going to kind of go into I got some more Q&A planned out, but let me get to the right slide here first. So gang, listen, the Islander Ohana, if the fall 21 cohort, I think I've got like maybe 2 or 3 slots left. That's about it. It's going to sell out probably this week. So if you haven't, let me post a link to the Islander Ohana. We talked about this last week, so I'm not going to go into great details with it, but you've heard me mention about a lot of folks that are in the Islander Ohana or alumni from Islander Ohana. Joan, who's going to be joining us. I've got about 3 holes, three spots left, 3 or 4. If you want to be a member of the Islander Ohana and move to Hawaii in the best possible way with the group and be part of what we're doing over here, be part of the meetups and part of the teaching and the training that's going on, you want to be registered now. I put the link in the comments. Pop on, get your registration, and get that thing moving. All right, let's see. Let's take a question real quick from Jen. Thank you, Jen, for sending this. Jen is asking, Jen says, do you have advice on how to get the best feel for different communities? We will be visiting the Big Island for 3 weeks. We are staying in VRBO homes all over the island, and our plans are to hike early and then spend the rest of the day, night, driving, walking around neighborhoods. Other suggestions? Dylan, how would you respond to? I think Jen's got it right over here.
She nailed it. That's exactly what I tell people. Stay 3 nights in a VRBO in different spots on the island and figure out which spot you like. So nailed it.
There you go. There you go, Jen. We also have a video. If you go to the Living in Hawaii YouTube channel, we put together a video a while ago, which is, how long should I stay to get the vibe? And, it's like, do that kind of a thing and take that same piece from island to island. And Jason, yes, Jason, I saw your registration. I was so happy to see that. So Jason is registered and can't wait. We are going to be talking to you, Jason. Also working with Scott, obviously part of the Ohana. This is, I think the really fun part about the Islander Ohana has been, as people kind of go through the courses, and it's like they're part of the group, right? So they know, like Judy has connected with Dylan, and how Mark has connected with Scott. It's been really cool. So it's really kind of fun. It's all part of like a big group, which is really neat. Okay, let's take a next question over here. So gang, before we go in, we're going to go into some more Q&A here. So I just want to emphasize to everyone, make sure that if you're here with us live, pop your questions in. Pop your questions or comments. I've got these slides. I got them all ready. But you who are watching us live get priority. So if you got something, pop it in. Otherwise, we're going to move on with our little program over here. And so we had a question over here that came in from Jess from Waukegan, who says, there's crime everywhere, but what spot would be the most safest one in Oahu to live in? So the big topic here is crime, safe, crime freeze, etc. And we'll talk about Oahu first. Scott, where would you go? Where would you say to Jess, who wants to live in the safest place?
Safest place on the island's probably going to be Wailoa Ridge, and I jokingly say that because it's a gated community, and then there's a gated community within the gated community. So I don't know if that's to keep the riffraff in or to keep the riffraff out. But I mean, obviously, gated community is going to be like that. But I look at it as kind of from a socioeconomic standpoint. The more high net worth neighborhoods are probably going to be the safer ones. That East Oahu stretch from Diamond Head to Hawaii Kai is going to be the most consistent neighborhoods, as far as nicer neighborhoods, safer neighborhoods. And then, if you get into Honolulu, now you're getting into an urban core area where you get a mix of, types of housing and things. So it's going to change a good amount. But I would say Diamond Head to Hawaii Kai, those give you your most consistent neighborhoods as far as, quality, safety, good environment to raise kids, good schools, the whole 9 yards.
One of the things that I think, as you were saying this, Scott, what kind of occurred to me was, the relative safety of Hawaii to other places on the mainland. My gut, and I don't have any statistics to back this up, but my gut tells me that, relatively speaking, well, I know for a fact when I first came here from Chicago and everybody said, "Oh man, stay out of Kalihi." Kalihi's like this bad neighborhood. And I'm like, dude, you have no idea what bad neighborhood means. You have absolutely no, let me tell you what a bad neighborhood means. You have, getting shot at while you're at the stoplight is what a bad neighborhood means. In Chicago, the thing was like, if you're going through a bad neighborhood, first of all, the cops will tell you this is legendary. The cops will say, don't stop at the red lights. What are you doing stopping at a red light? And you never, ever stop at a red light near the curb. You're never stop at so this is what bad neighborhood means. We don't have that in Hawaii at all.
Well, there's not a single neighborhood that I feel uncomfortable going into here on Oahu. And I used to live in Kalihi for a little while. And
so did I.
I had some of my best, nicest neighbors were my neighbors in Kalihi.
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. So the topic is sort of safety. Let's kind of round up. So Heidi, what if this was a question for Maui, and that question being, where's a safe place? How would you kind of judge Maui? Again, Hawaii is much safer than the mainland, but overall, Heidi, what would be like the safest place in Maui that you would guide someone towards?
Maui overall is pretty safe. I would say some kind of planned gated community might be your safest community versus being right in town, like downtown Lahaina or Wailuku. But most of my friends and clients and people that live in these places, I mean, they do not lock their doors. They don't lock their cars, which that just baffles me because I lived in Chicago for a while. I mean, I get in my car and lock the door right away. But I think it's more like what I find with people, it's more a comfort level of the neighborhood. And as you get to know people and have that community, you feel safer too. It's feeling comfortable in a new place. Now, actual crime, I don't have any statistics available. Some buyers do look up, you can look up a website of registered sex offenders. Some buyers look that up. But I mean, there's no neighborhoods that I could think of that are, really terrible or unsafe. It's more just a comfort level of where you feel comfortable living.
Yeah, that's actually even a better question, and kind of Scott had brought this up. So Heidi, is there any place on Maui where you would feel unsafe? Yep, see?
No. And I've definitely felt unsafe in like other big cities on the mainland in certain areas, but on Maui, there's nowhere I'd feel scared to be. But
Heidi, I forgot that you too were in Chicago. Do you remember? I'm sure you remember the legendary stories of like don't stop at the red lights when going through the bad neighborhoods, right?
I didn't know about that, but there were definitely neighborhoods that there is a lot of crime in Chicago, and that you might not feel safe. I don't feel that way on Maui.
Yeah.
I mean, I think anywhere you have to use caution. I mean, but in general, I think compared to, especially living in Chicago, it's very safe.
Yeah, especially now, Chicago just like doesn't count as like what Chicago is going on now. As someone who was born in that place, I'm sad to see what's occurred. Anyway, Dylan, where would you say is the safest spot, on the Big Island?
I'm of the same mind. I mean, I don't think there's anywhere that's unsafe. One thing that helps you be safe is it doesn't really matter the neighborhood you're in, but it matters kind of who your neighbors are, right? In my old house, I had 2 retirees in the cul-de-sac. My neighbor across the street was a policeman. Like I literally could just leave piles of money in my garage open and nobody would ever take it because there was somebody in the yard doing yard work or walking around or whatever at all times. And so as long as you're friends with everybody, they're always gonna look out for you. And like anytime, I had my cousin stop by one time and drop something off, and I immediately got text messages from my neighbors saying, "Hey, there's somebody in your driveway, with a box, and it was a car they didn't recognize." But on the flip side of that, I'll tell you a personal story about my father-in-law recently got his truck stolen from his driveway, and they live in a really safe neighborhood. But for 30 years, he's parked his truck in his driveway with the keys in it. So there must have been some stupid kids that were in the neighborhood, maybe looking in cars, trying to, see if there were any valuables or whatever. But since there were keys in the truck, they drove away with it. And immediately, that's a cool thing about the world today, small town and social media, is immediately the word went out on social media to look for. And the truck was kind of a unique truck. And I think my wife had 100 shares on her Facebook post, and everybody knew about it, right? I mean, everybody was on the lookout for this truck. So quickly, the truck turned up. Like within 12 hours, these kids figured out that this is probably not a good idea, and just abandoned it near a grocery store near the house, and we found it. But the funny part of that story was that there was, so many people knew about it that one of my wife's friends' husbands was driving home, and he passed what he thought was the truck. So he immediately U-turns and follows this truck 10 miles back into Kailua. He was up kind of where we live, follows this truck into the Ross parking lot, and then parks next to the guy and gets out and starts walking towards the truck. And the guy gets out of the truck and says, "Hey, this is my truck. I promise this is my truck. I know everybody's looking for it. This is my truck. It's not the stolen truck." Because I guess this guy's had been confronted several times that day already, because everybody in town was on the lookout for this truck.
Oh my God, Dylan, that has got to be the best story.
So this is a bad place to be a criminal. Like really, really, tough place to be a criminal because of the small knit community and everybody looking out for each other. So,
man, Dylan, that has got to be the best stolen truck story I have ever heard. And as you're saying this, I'm just imagining myself that these let's just say kids stole the car. I just mentioned these kids who are all over social media themselves, right? Are probably on Facebook saying, "Hey, dude, man, look, everyone's kind of sharing that we just stole the car. Dump this damn thing. Hurry up, quick, man. There's like 10,000 views on this thing." I can just imagine that conversation. Easy to see that conversation. So we're talking about go ahead, Scott.
Well, and I would say goes back to a little bit about the community here. It's like you don't want to be a criminal. If you are, you end up getting shunned quite a bit from the community, and there's consequences to your behavior here, which goes back to not only just why it's so safe, but how we're a community that looks out for each other.
It's definitely the Islander, definitely definitely the Islander way. And I think it's a lot of sociological kind of aspects of this. I think a large part of it is because we are on an island. It is a closed space. There is a very, very, literally a very small population, if you really think about it, tiny population relative to the size. It's closed. You can't get off the island. There's all kinds of reasons, but it's been culturally ingrained for since the beginning of time, really here, that we have to kind of care for each other to survive. Tom popped in a quick question, Scott, about what about Kailua? We're talking about safety. Anything in Kailua that's no, right?
I mean, it's you could lump Kailua into that east Oahu kind of mirrors that east Oahu.
Yeah. So Kinaya, this is a great share. I dropped a Louis Vuitton wallet in Waikiki and someone turned it in. Well, and that's in Waikiki. That's in Waikiki where you've got if there's going to be any kind of petty theft going on because of tourists, unsuspecting tourists, etc. It's going to be in Waikiki. So there you go. And thanks. A shout out. I mentioned Judy's name earlier in the Islander Ohana. Judy, thank you, Judy, for this testimonial. My husband totally connected with Dylan and says I could talk to that guy all day long. They even text each other now and then about sports, etc. Definitely made friends through this program and the Islander Ohana. So Dylan, there you go, man. Dylan's the man. That's why Dylan has like 500 people at his birthday, and if there's a truck, the whole island knows about it because that's the kind of guy that's the kind of guy that you are, Dylan. And Kenai was they're on vacation and still don't understand it. I can't wrap my head around that one, right, Kenai? It's like for someone who's the mainland way is like no way in hell would you ever get that wallet back. And if you ever do it shows up. If there's every stories like that on the mainland, it becomes national news. It's on CNN. Someone turned in a wallet. But here I don't want to say it's an everyday occurrence, but it's certainly a very frequent and well-known occurrence. All right, I think we're running tight on time. Let's kind of get into the diamonds and deals. But before that, real quick, we got a thing here from Jess. Aloha, Jess Santos. First time interacting on the show. Myself and a few friends plan to start a wellness center on the Big Island on the Kona side. How would you foresee the land buying market in 2 years? I don't know if you want to land. Well, let's just answer your question directly. Dylan, how do you respond to Jess?
I wish I knew what things would look like in 2 years. I wish I knew things, 2 years ago, they would be like this now. So you just kind of got to wait and see. I mean, things could get better. Things could get worse. Who knows? There's so many big economic factors that play into it. But, right now there's very, very little land for sale. So that's generally an issue on the Big Island is that for, land with the type of zoning that you can do things like that on, it can be complicated. So my biggest piece of advice would be start early. Let's talk. I mean, even if you're 2 years out, and then get connected with some people that can help advise you and prepare you for looking for the right thing, because it can be complicated to do stuff like that.
Jess, there's a link in the description. Click on the link. There's a form. Put your name in the form. I'll connect you with Dylan directly. As if you could ask all the quote old timers who are here, who have been the regulars who come to the show. Ask them about Dylan, and you can ask the truck guy about. Ask anybody about Dylan on the Big Island. I mean, everyone knows him. He's the man, which is really so cool. Couldn't have been a better guy. Auntie Joyce has got a thing here. Auntie Joyce says, I drive my husband crazy in the stores when I tell people. When I stop people to tell them their purse is open. Guess that's all my years spent in New York City and the Bay Area. Yeah, Auntie Joyce, those habits die hard. Yeah, Jess, you got it. That's what we're here for, Jess. So welcome Jess to the Ohana. Is the best thing I can tell you. Okay, diamonds and deals. We got our favorite properties that we want to kind of highlight, aspirational, inspirational properties. Let's get this party started here. This is the first one on Maui. This is 626 Waine'e Street, a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath home with a 1-bedroom, 1-bath detached ohana. Now, detached ohana means a detached unit, a self-standing unit. We call it the ohana unit. Ohana means family. Typically, it's like the in-law kind of unit, etc. Heidi, what are we looking at? Tell us all about it.
So as you can see, this is just a couple blocks from the ocean, right in downtown Lahaina. You can walk to Lahaina Harbor, Front Street, all the main shops and restaurants downtown. And you have a single family home plus a cottage ohana. The ohana is currently rented for $2,000 a month. So it allows you that unique opportunity to live in a home and then also have some rental income. You could live in the ohana and rent the house. The house might rent for $4,000, $4,500 a month, and then the 1-bedroom ohana rents for $2,000. I've had people tell me it could rent up to $2,800 a month. So provides you a unique opportunity there. It's all fenced in, really private. You don't even know you're in the middle of Lahaina when you're in that backyard there.
Wow, Heidi. I mean, the fact that you can rent out that property, you can live in the 1-bedroom and rent out the big home for $4,000 a month. That's your mortgage payment, and you're all set. I'm surprised the thing is still on the market. It's probably sold already. Awesome, love it. What do we got next here? Let's see. We've got Scott. This is such a cute home. We have a 2-bedroom, 1-bath Kaimuki home listed for $669. Now the median price on Oahu was $1 million. Scott, this is a deal.
Yeah, I mean, it's in a great location, Kaimuki, which is right close to Waikiki, Diamond Head, those kind of areas. But this is a whopping 512 square foot home on a 1,500 square foot postage stamp lot. So just for perspective, what I do like about this home,
man, that's tiny. That is tiny.
Yeah,
teeny,
no land.
tiny.
I mean, if you want yard space, you're getting rid of the one car carport on the left side of the house there, right? But it gives perspective. Part of why I chose this one is because it was built in 1930s, and you can't really tell from here, but it has the original doors for the bedrooms, and it has the original windows that are you raise them, and it has the pulley system in the window, which goes way back in the day. So the original glass and everything. So they mixed a little old with new, renovating it and whatnot. But that's right in the heart of Honolulu. It takes the place of a condo effectively. You don't have a maintenance fee. You're down a private lane. You have room for one car, and that's it. But it's essentially something along with it would take the place of a condo in this instance.
Okay, well, Scott, we're gonna have the first ever live buying offers right now. Jessica and Wes, who are also members of the alumni of the Ohana, said, "Scott, we changed our mind. Get us that house." Scott, there you go, man. Do it. Write the offer. Jess, hurry up. Get it done. I know that Jessica and Wes have been working with Scott, and I know we have there is a private Facebook group is one of the things that we have in the Islander Ohana, and in that Facebook group, I know that Jess has been sharing us her dramas in getting a house. So there you go. Get the house. All right. This is so much fun. Gotta tell you guys, I really enjoy this. Okay, so Dylan, I'm like, this is like so stunning. 3-bedroom, 3-bath in Kona View Estates, 1.85. 1.85 billion. That's a couple of extra minutes.
That was a typo. 1.8 million.
That just shows you how crazy the market is. That's a $1.85 billion house. Anyway, so Jess says, just kidding. JK. Anyway, Dylan, go ahead. Give us the scoop on this $1.85 billion house.
No, this just came on the market. I mean, you can see the ridiculous view this thing has, overlooking the Kona coast. That infinity pool is just stunning. Everything's nice about it. I think it's only like 2 or 3 years old, so relatively new on an acre lot, so lots of space. But just kind of shows you the value you can get on the Big Island versus other islands. You can get a lot of space, killer views, brand new house. And yeah, it's not a cheap house, but just a super nice one. Diamond, great, gated neighborhood. Everything in the neighborhood's an acre, so you don't really have any neighbors close by you, and you're just like 5 minutes to town, but you're kind of away. There's elevation, so it's cool. You'll never need air conditioning. I mean, just one of those real diamond properties that.
Boy, you're not kidding. And I just love that shot here is so cool with the infinity pool. I mean, whoever the photographer was is like just masterful. They did a fabulous job. And I could just imagine what kind of, that's in Kona. So sunset views, what kind of views?
Yep, sunset views all year round. You know, you got basically 180-degree ocean view from that lanai. And that's, the sun, you know, moves up and down the coast throughout the year. But I mean, year round ocean, sunset views.
Man, that is amazing. Hey, now there's going to be a first over here because I've got a property that I want to show on Diamonds and Deals. Now, I'm not a realtor and I'm not selling it. So, but what popped on my radar screen, I saw this story somewhere. Oh, it was on a Rob Report. So here's a $15 million property on Kauai, a compound, 11,000 square foot home with a 22-car garage. How's that? So this crazy dude who was a developer on Kauai put this has recently passed away, God rest his soul, and he put his house on the market. Now I happen to be kind of a car guy, and I'm not a crazy car guy, but just to think of a $15 million compound on Kauai near a beach with 11,000 square foot and a 22-car garage, I just could not imagine a bigger dream come true. Talk about an amazing. That's just look. That thing looks like a resort. It's just crazy. I don't know if you guys folks heard about this property or not, or whatever, but it's just nuts. Anyway, that's my little diamond. I'm not going to do this every week, but every so often when something crazy pops up, I'm going to bring it up. All right. I think, gang, it's about 9:55 a.m. my time. I think we're going to bring this to a close. Gang, if you have any more questions, pop them in. I think I took care of everybody's. I think I got everyone's comments on there. So let's kind of wind this down with a closing thought. Let's go bottom up. We'll go Heidi, then Scott, then Dylan for the closing thoughts. Heidi, closing thought.
My closing thought is you either endure the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. So that inspires me to go out and get things done and follow my dreams.
How's that go again? That's a good one. The pain of the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. How's that go again? That was good.
You either endure the pain of discipline or the pain of regret.
That's almost like a Dylan poster, man. That's kind of what that sounds like to me. Scott, what's your closing thought today?
I just want to thank everyone for joining in. I have a lot of fun doing this, and even coming from here on the Big Island and while I'm traveling, it's still fun to do the show. I'd rather do this than go out by the pool and hang out. So,
oh man, what a dude! What a dude. Thanks, Scott. And, and actually, people don't see this. It's all behind the scenes, but, you lugged a bunch of equipment to make this happen. So we really appreciate that. There's light, there's lighting. There's a whole crew. Scott's got a whole crew behind him, whole filming crew.
My struggle last show at Aloha, where I was standing up, my computer's down by my waist. I'm trying to figure stuff out. That was my test run for being able to bring everything here and set it up.
Man. Well, you did great, man. Auntie Joyce has got a shout out for us. Next time we meet, I'll be on the mainland while husband redoes our kitchen. Stay safe, everyone. Auntie Joyce, I hope you can meet us. Hope you see us. And if you are on the mainland, make sure you give us a shout out while you're there. And if you're still connected to the show. Dylan, closing thought.
I saw this on Instagram the other day, so I had to save it for the show today. But be so happy that when other people look at you, they become happy too. I loved it. So,
oh, good one. Be so happy. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, positive energy is contagious, right? It's the best thing to spread. Don't spread COVID, spread positive energy.
There you go. Be so happy. Be so happy and makes others happy too. Well, I hope we've been making I hope that we've been making help make you folks happy as well. I know Ray's loving it. So Ray, great show. See you guys next time. Ray, be safe in Afghanistan, buddy. Want to hear the update, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Yeah, my closing thought actually that just occurred to me is I've been doing something for about 30 days now, and I'm really, really, really enjoying it. And that is that I've been reading Proverbs out of the Bible. So I got the Bible app, and Proverbs, there's 31 Proverbs. And so you read a proverb for each day of the week. And Proverbs is an incredible source of wisdom. Whether you're religious or not, frankly, it's irrelevant. The wisdom that's held in Proverbs is absolutely blows my mind that this was written so many thousands of years ago. So my closing thought is get the Bible app. So, at least for me, I got to have a Bible. I can't read paper anymore. So get the Bible app, read Proverbs and follow the day of the week. So today's like the 6th. Read Proverbs 6 and follow it. It's so cool. And that's it. We're going to close it up. So Jeremy gives us his thanks. Ray, yeah, right. I already said shout out to Ray. Jeremy says thanks. I'm going to say goodbye. Let's go around let's go clockwise. Dylan, Scott, and Heidi. Say goodbye, everybody. So aloha.
Hello, everybody.
Aloha.
See you later, folks. See you later. Say, Heidi, you're muted. Go ahead and say your goodbyes, Heidi.
Aloha. Have a great week.
Aloha. Have a great week. All right. And Misty agrees. Great show. Thanks, Misty. See you later, folks. Aloha.